The galaxy had grown restless. Worlds across distant systems trembled under the shadow of the Virith, a coalition of alien civilizations known not for diplomacy, but for conquest. Entire planets had been reduced to silence, their skies choked with smoke and their cities left in ruins. The Virith moved like a storm, unstoppable and precise. On the planet Sidara, a small, peaceful world of scholars and engineers, the people huddled in their remaining safe zones. Their leaders, desperate and trembling, sent messages across the galaxy, messages begging for help. They had reached out to the Galactic Council, to the proud and ancient civilizations known for their fleets and armies, hoping that anyone would answer. But the universe seemed silent, until a small, unfamiliar signal blinked on the Sideran screens. It was not from a council vessel. It was from a planet known only as Earth. Earth. The blue planet, far in the Sol system. A planet that most considered young, inexperienced, and insignificant. In the galactic arena, its humans were known for exploration, science, and curiosity, but hardly for war. Yet, when the Siderans saw the transmission, they felt something unusual. Hope. In a quiet control room on Earth, in a city that looked like any other on the planet, the alert arrived. A series of symbols blinked on the console, and a calm voice announced, "Distress signal received. Source: Sidara System, Sector 72 Gamma. Content: Request for immediate assistance." Admiral Helena Voss leaned back in her chair, her eyes narrowing. She had seen strange signals before, but this one was different. She could feel the weight of it. She tapped her console and listened as the signal repeated, detailing the situation on Sidara. "They want heroes," Helena said softly, almost to herself. "They don't know what they're asking for." The briefing room was soon filled with the top strategists, engineers, and scientists of Earth's interstellar program. Humans may not have been the largest power in the galaxy, but their fleet was formidable in its own way. Ships equipped with the latest technology, pilots trained to the highest level, and minds capable of thinking faster and more creatively than most species had ever encountered. Captain Rian Cortez, a young officer known for his ingenuity, leaned over the table. "They're expecting a few ships. Maybe some diplomats. We send the full fleet. They'll think the galaxy itself has answered." Unquote. "That's exactly the point," Helena replied. "We don't send hope, we send certainty. Humanity will make sure they survive." Within days, Earth's fleet mobilized. Massive starships rose from the orbital docks, glinting under the light of Sol. Smaller, agile vessels flew alongside them, each one piloted by the best humans the planet had to offer. Engineers and scientists worked tirelessly, upgrading weapons, shields, and navigation systems. Meanwhile, the rest of the galaxy watched. Many underestimated Earth. To them, humans were a young race, with little experience beyond their home system. They expected Earth to send a small delegation at best, a token force that might earn a few credits or scraps of knowledge. The humans, however, had something the galaxy rarely anticipated: innovation and courage in the face of impossible odds. As the fleet jumped into faster-than-light travel, Sidara awaited intense anticipation. The Sidarans had prepared for years for assistance from someone, anyone. They had imagined fleets of silver ships with ancient designs, not strange, unfamiliar vessels that shimmered with technology they had never seen. When the first human ships appeared on the Sideran sensors, an astonished silence fell across their control rooms. They're enormous," one Sideran whispered, eyes wide. "And their shields, they are unlike anything we've studied." The humans did not immediately attack. That was not their way. Instead, they moved with precision, scanning the Virith-controlled space, analyzing defenses, and preparing to act. Even their scouts were clever, using holographic decoys, asteroid fields, and innovative maneuvers that left the Siderans in awe. "It is incredible," said another Sidaran officer. "I thought all humans were fragile. I was wrong." Back on Earth, Admiral Voss watched the fleet's progress with satisfaction. She knew the galaxy underestimated humans. That underestimation was their greatest strength. Where others relied on raw power, humans relied on thinking, planning, and creativity. Where others panicked, humans adapted. And where others feared failure, humans moved forward. Captain Cortez led one of the smaller strike teams, moving through asteroid fields near the Sideran system. His ship, the Intrepid, was nimble and fast, equipped with experimental shields that could bend light to hide it from detection. He watched the holographic display, noting the positions of Virith patrols. "They don't even know we're here," he said to his co-pilot, Lieutenant Mara Liu. "By the time they realize, we'll have already saved thousands." Mara smiled, a mix of nerves and excitement. "Humans always find a way, don't they?" Cortez nodded. "We don't just find a way, we make a way." As the human fleet drew closer to the Sideran system, the Virith forces became aware of their presence. Alien commanders blinked at their screens in disbelief. "Analysis confirms. Earth has sent its full fleet," one Virith general hissed. This was not expected. "They are a minor species," another said. "Our scouts confirmed no major battle experience. They will crumble under our power." Uplio. But humans were not like other species. Even as their ships were smaller, their tactics were precise. They did not charge blindly. They used the terrain of space, gravitational pulls, and energy pulses to navigate the battlefield. Every move was calculated, every maneuver tested. From the Virith perspective, it was as if the humans were everywhere at once. Ships disappeared behind asteroid belts and reappeared where the Virith least expected. Energy pulses danced around defensive shields, finding gaps that other species might never notice. Meanwhile, the Siderans prepared their cities for evacuation and rescue. The humans had made one thing very clear. They would protect the civilians first, even at the risk of their own ships. Human crews coordinated with Sideran engineers to establish safe corridors, ensuring that no innocent life would be lost. The Siderans could hardly believe it. "These humans, they care," one of them whispered. "They risk themselves not for glory, but for us." And that was the essence of humanity. They did not fight for conquest, not for territory, not for power. They fought because it was right, because it mattered, and because they had the courage to face the impossible. As Part 1 closes, the human fleet positions itself in orbit around Sidara's main star system. The Virith forces have noticed them and prepare for what they think will be an easy victory. But humans have already begun their preparations. They have scanned defenses, calculated trajectories, and coordinated with the Siderans. Captain Cortez looks out at the stars from the bridge of the Intrepid. "This is only the beginning," he says. "They asked for heroes, and they got more than they expected." Far across the galaxy, the Virith generals reconsider their arrogance. The humans are not what they expected. Earth did not send a token force. Earth sent something formidable, something unstoppable, something that would change the course of this conflict forever. And in the silence of space, a new chapter begins, one that no one in the galaxy will ever forget. The humans had arrived in the Sidara system, and the Virith forces could no longer deny their presence. From orbit, the Virith fleets watched the Earth ships assemble like a living storm, shimmering with technology that pulsed with unseen power. Their commanders whispered in disbelief. "They underestimated them," hissed Commander Tharlek, a Virith war tactician whose victories spanned countless systems. "They are not as weak as our scouts predicted." But even as the Virith prepared for attack, the humans did not act rashly. Instead, they moved with precision. Small scouting teams slipped past patrols, mapping the enemy's positions. Their ships weaved through asteroid belts and energy storms, hiding in shadows and striking with timing that seemed almost prophetic. Captain Rian Cortez guided the Intrepid along a path that would bring them closest to the Virith patrols. His co-pilot, Lieutenant Mara Liu, monitored energy pulses on the displays. "Those cruisers up ahead, Mara said, pointing at the holographic map. They think they are hidden. They're not. Cortez smiled. They're about to learn why humans always look for the smart way, not the obvious way. With a quiet hum, the Intrepid and two smaller human ships slipped past the patrols using a combination of holographic decoys and gravitational slingshots around nearby asteroids. The Vireth sensors registered disturbances but could not locate the real ships. Every move was a dance, carefully planned and perfectly executed. Back on the Sidoran homeworld, the people watched the unfolding events with a mixture of awe and disbelief. Humans, who were supposed to be weak, were showing courage and intelligence that surpassed even their most optimistic expectations. Sidoran engineers had never seen technology move with such grace. They are more than warriors, said Sidara's Chancellor Elira. They are strategists, artists of the stars. The humans' tactics went beyond mere evasion. They began to disable the Vireth patrols. Not through destruction, but by clever interference. Communication signals were scrambled, engines temporarily slowed, and weapons disabled, all without unnecessary harm. In each skirmish, humans ensured that no life was lost unnecessarily. Captain Cortez contacted a patrol ship that had drifted too close to a human decoy. "This is Captain Rian Cortez of the Earth Fleet," he said, voice calm but authoritative. "You are in our path. You may leave peacefully. Any attack will be met with defensive action only." The Vireth commander hesitated. No one had spoken to them in such a way before. Most species would have attacked immediately. Humans, however, offered choices, and they acted with confidence and precision. While the skirmishes unfolded in space, the human command center in orbit coordinated with the Sidorans on the ground. Evacuation corridors were opened for civilians, supply stations were established, and protective fields were placed around vulnerable cities. Every human ship acted not only as a fighter, but as a shield, ensuring that the innocent were safe. The Vireth, observing these actions, grew more uneasy. Their arrogance could not account for humans who valued life as much as victory. Commander Tharlek gritted his mandibles. "Their ships are clever. Yes. But cleverness cannot match our numbers. We will crush them." But the humans were already anticipating their every move. Using complex algorithms and predictions, human tacticians plotted paths that avoided confrontation when unnecessary, striking only at key points that would dismantle the enemy's coordination. On the Intrepid, Cortez and Liu prepared for another operation. A Vireth cruiser had been blocking access to a supply route crucial for the Sidoran population. "We can't just fight it head-on," Liu said, studying the readouts. "They will overwhelm us." Cortez tapped a few commands. "Then we'll make them think the fight is somewhere else entirely. Let the cruiser chase shadows while we secure the route." The humans launched a series of holographic ships into the sector, each appearing identical to their real vessels. The Vireth cruiser pursued them relentlessly, believing it was attacking multiple targets. Meanwhile, the real human ships slipped through a hidden passage in an asteroid belt, securing the supply route and guiding convoys of Sidoran ships to safety. By the time the Vireth realized what had happened, the humans had already won without a single unnecessary confrontation. This pattern continued for days. Human ingenuity frustrated the Vireth at every turn. Every battle became less about sheer force and more about strategy, creativity, and ethical precision. Humans anticipated the enemy's moves, often countering before the Vireth even acted. Among the humans, ordinary officers rose to prominence through acts of brilliance. Lieutenant Mara Lu developed a new way to use gravitational anomalies to slow enemy ships. Engineer Kiran Patel designed a shield that could bend energy pulses, making human ships appear invisible. Even analysts in orbit devised strategies that left Vireth commanders scratching their heads in confusion. The Sidorans, watching all this, could hardly believe it. "They do not fight like other species," said Chancellor Illyra. "They fight with mind and heart, not just strength. Perhaps they are more than heroes. Perhaps they are a force of destiny." Olive. Meanwhile, the Vireth began to fracture internally. Some younger officers, observing the humans' tactics, began to question their leader's methods. Why attack indiscriminately when one could act with intelligence? Why harm civilians when victory could be achieved without bloodshed? One Virith scout whispered to a colleague. These humans, they fight for something greater than themselves. Could it be honor? Tharlek overheard and hissed angrily. Honor is a weakness. You will not survive by thinking like them. You will survive by obeying strength. But even he could not deny the growing unease among his ranks. The human's presence was not merely tactical, it was inspirational. Ships that once moved as mindless weapons began hesitating. Questions arose where none had existed before. The climax of Part 2 came during a daring operation near the Vireth stronghold. The humans needed to disable a critical shield array that protected the fortress. But the direct approach was impossible. The defenses were too strong. Captain Cortez proposed an alternative. We won't hit it head-on. We'll use the asteroid belt nearby to redirect energy waves, creating a temporary gap in their shields. It's risky, but precise timing will make it work. The plan was executed with flawless precision. Human ships darted among massive rocks, using gravitational pulls to bend energy pulses. The Vireth, confident in their defenses, were caught off guard. Within moments, the shield array flickered and faltered. Sideran's ships rushed through the gap, delivering supplies and evacuating civilians. The humans had once again won not through destruction, but through brilliance. Commander Tharlek watched from the stronghold. They are unlike any species I have ever faced, he admitted quietly, almost in awe. They do not fight for conquest. They fight to protect. And yet, they win. By the end of Part 2, the humans had secured most of the Sideran system. Civilians were safe, patrols neutralized, and supply lines restored. The Vireth forces, though still numerous, were disoriented and frustrated. The humans had turned the expected outcome completely upside down. Captain Cortez gathered his team on the Intrepid. This is what makes humans different, he said. We do not rely on fear or force alone. We rely on thinking, planning, and caring for those who cannot protect themselves. That is our strength. Lieutenant Liu smiled. And it seems the galaxy is finally starting to notice. Chancellor Elira, speaking to her people via broadcast, said, humans are not just visitors in our world. They are protectors, thinkers, and heroes. Their courage shows us a new way to fight, and a new way to live. Even as the humans celebrated their success, they knew this was only the beginning. The Vireth stronghold remained untouched, its defenses formidable. Yet the humans faced it without fear, armed with their intelligence, unity, and the unwavering belief that even the greatest challenges could be overcome. As Part 2 closes, the stage is set for the final confrontation. Humans and Vireth forces prepare for the decisive battle. The Sideran system has been saved so far, but the strongest test lies ahead. The galaxy watches, and every species wonders. How will humans continue to defy expectations? One thing is certain: humanity is no ordinary species. They do not merely fight. They inspire, innovate, and protect. And when they face the impossible, they do not retreat. They rise. The stars themselves seemed to shimmer with anticipation. Humanity was coming, and the Vireth would soon understand that no force in the galaxy could underestimate Earth. The Vireth stronghold loomed in orbit around a binary star, a massive fortress of steel and energy, untouched by humans until now. Its walls pulsed with shields that had deflected countless attacks. The aliens inside were confident, certain that Earth's fleet could never breach such defenses. But the humans were unlike any enemy they had faced. Captain Rian Cortez stood on the bridge of the Intrepid, overlooking the Vireth fortress. He did not see just a wall of metal and energy. He saw an opportunity. His fleet had prepared for this moment for weeks, studying every movement, every energy signature, every weak point in the enemy's defenses. Lieutenant Maralu, at his side, tapped the console. All systems ready. Shields are fully charged. Decoys in place. Our diversion teams are in position. Cortez nodded. Then, it's time to show them what humans are truly capable of. The first phase of their plan was simple in concept, complex in execution. The human fleet would not attack head-on. Instead, they would divide into multiple groups, each appearing in a different part of the battlefield. Holographic decoys, invisible ships, and gravitational manipulation would make it seem as if the human fleet was larger and everywhere at once. The Vireth commanders watched with growing unease. Their sensors detected dozens of ships approaching from different angles. How could a single fleet cover so much space at once? Panic rippled through their ranks. "Analyze," Commander Tharlek demanded. "How is this possible?" "I do not know, my lord," replied his lieutenant. "It seems they are, multiple, everywhere at once. But humans relied not on fear, but on strategy." The Intrepid led a strike team through an asteroid belt, using the gravitational pull of massive rocks to bend the energy of Vireth shields. For a brief moment, the fortress's protective barriers faltered. Cortez seized the opportunity. "Now, Mara!" he shouted. Mara activated a chain of energy pulses, perfectly timed to interfere with the fortress's shield frequency. A section of the wall flickered, then opened. Human supply ships moved through, delivering crucial equipment to disable the energy conduits within the station. Inside the fortress, Vireth soldiers scrambled. Communications were jammed. Energy lines flickered, and automated defenses misfired. The humans were not destroying the station. They were dismantling it from the inside, turning its own strength against it. Captain Cortez activated the next phase. Teams of human engineers teleported aboard the station, using advanced docking technology. They moved swiftly, coordinating with allies on the ground, disabling weapon systems, and redirecting power away from the shields. Even the most experienced Vireth officers could not predict their moves. Lieutenant Liu smiled as she watched a Vireth cruiser float helplessly in the orbital zone, its weapons offline. "They're panicking," she said. "And they don't even know what's coming next." "Trial. Let's make sure they see what humans do when they care for life and victory equally," Cortez replied. Meanwhile, the Citarans and other rescued civilizations watched from orbit. They had never seen such a display of precision, courage, and creativity. Humans were everywhere at once, dismantling the fortress not with brute force, but with intelligence, teamwork, and care. Chancellor Elira addressed her people via holographic broadcast. "Observe, citizens. Humans fight not only to survive, but to protect. They honor life, yet they are unstoppable in the face of injustice. Let this be a lesson for all who think strength alone conquers the galaxy." Even some of the younger Vireth soldiers began to question their mission. How could one species, seemingly so small and young, outmatch centuries of preparation and conquest? The final stage of the operation focused on the fortress's command core. Located at the heart of the station, it controlled every shield, turret, and energy pulse. To disable it, the humans relied on a combination of hacking, clever engineering, and unconventional tactics. Engineer Kiran Patel led a small boarding team aboard the station. They worked alongside Vireth defectors who had come to admire human ingenuity. Using synchronized energy pulses, they bypassed layers of defense, finally reaching the core. "Remember," Patel said, "we do not destroy what we do not have to. We disable. We disable. And we give them a choice." The core hummed with raw power. Patel tapped his console, rerouting energy to neutralize weapons without harming life support systems. The fortress shuddered as systems failed one by one. The Vireth officers realized they had been outsmarted. "Impossible!" Tharlek screamed. "These humans, they..." But it was too late. The fortress was no longer a threat. The humans had not destroyed it entirely. They had won by intelligence, planning, and care for life. The Vireth could surrender, retreat, or negotiate. The choice was theirs. As the fortress's energy faded, human ships formed a protective perimeter around the station. Cortez contacted the Vireth leaders directly. "This is Captain Rian Cortez of the Earth Fleet," he said. You have been given every opportunity to act wisely. The choice is yours. Violence is unnecessary. Cooperation is preferable. The lives of your people, and ours, depend on it. Some Virith officers hesitated. Some had already begun to see the wisdom in human strategy. They lowered their weapons, signaling surrender or retreat. Even Tharlek, proud and stubborn, realized resistance was futile. The humans had not only won the battle, they had earned respect. The galaxy had seen something remarkable. Humans could outthink, outmaneuver, and protect simultaneously. In the aftermath, humans coordinated reconstruction efforts for the Sidoran system. Cities were rebuilt, supply lines restored, and civilians returned safely to their homes. Humans trained local forces, shared technology, and taught strategies to prevent future threats. Sidoran leaders spoke of humans as more than warriors. They were teachers, protectors, and heroes. Chancellor Illyra said during the final ceremony, "Earth has given us more than protection. They have given us hope. They have shown us the power of courage, intelligence, and care. Let all species learn from this day." Captain Cortez stood beside Lieutenant Liu, watching the celebration. "We came to help," he said quietly. "We did not expect admiration." Liu smiled. Humans do not seek praise, but the galaxy notices anyway. Even the Vireth began to reconsider their ways. The younger soldiers, inspired by humans, asked to be reassigned or even to work alongside humans to repair the damage caused by previous conquests. Tharlek, though prideful, agreed to let them go, understanding that victory was not only measured in battles won, but in lives preserved and respect earned. Humanity's reputation spread quickly across the galaxy. Stories of clever strategies, ethical victories, and fearless courage reached worlds that had never known hope. Humans were no longer the underestimated species. They were a force to be reckoned with, and they carried the message of balance. Power without thought is empty. Strength without ethics is dangerous. As night fell on Sidara, Captain Cortez and his team looked out at the stars. The galaxy stretched endlessly before them, full of challenges, mysteries, and civilizations, yet untouched by humanity's presence. "We've done something important here," Cortez said. "But this is just the beginning. The galaxy has learned a lesson today. Never underestimate Earth. Never underestimate humans." Liu nodded. "And when the next call comes, we will be ready." From the shadows of the stars, distant civilizations observed Earth's fleet moving among the systems. Fear, respect, and admiration spread in equal measure. Humans were no longer just explorers or minor species. They were protectors, innovators, and leaders. They had changed the fate of an entire region of the galaxy without unnecessary violence. They had proven that courage, intelligence, and care could accomplish what brute force could not. And so, humanity's legend began. Not as conquerors, but as guardians. Not as destroyers, but as heroes. Wherever danger threatened, Earth would rise not with fear, but with brilliance, compassion, and unstoppable determination. The galaxy would never forget the day they begged for heroes, and Earth sent its formidable forces.